Hello everyone, and welcome to the 12th episode of Thoughts from the Couch, where we discuss what's happening in the world of games and movies. I'm Tim.
I'm Tarun.
And I'm Krishna.
Today we'll go over highlights from Gamescom and Disney's D23 Expo, and the news that Sony has acquired Insomniac Games.
We'll also be talking about the sudden collapse of Disney and Sony's Spider-Man deal, and the first details of the upcoming James Bond movie.
If this is the first time you've come across our podcast, and there's a good chance that this is your first time, then hit subscribe and get your weekly dose of games and movie news. Let's get started.
So first off, let's talk Gamescom, one of the world's largest video game fairs. For the first time ever this year, the conference opened with a special opening night with plenty of game announcements and gameplay reveals, all hosted by Jeff Keighley, the creator and host of the Game Awards. So did you guys watch the conference, and what are you looking forward to playing the most?
There wasn't anything huge other than Death Stranding or a Kerbal Space Program 2.
I will say it's a bit of a disappointing sort of conference this year. I was expecting a bit more, but no, there was still some interesting stuff. You mentioned Kerbal Space Program 2. That was the biggest surprise of the conference for me. I did not expect that.
The visuals in that look awesome. It's a new game concept.
Well, it's new and improved. It's still got that kind of, the series humor in it, which I love. It's such a popular video game, and
we also got some good look at Death Stranding gameplay. That peeing mechanic is great. You can grow mushrooms.
Give me more info about it so I can understand it, you know what I mean? Because I know there was a sort of gameplay demo that's exclusive to Gamescom.
The thing that's been reiterated by Hideo Kojima time and time again is that the game is about connecting the world.
But what does that mean, Tarun? What does that mean?
It's still very vague, right? We have more questions than answers.
There were some interesting characters though. We got a good look at Mama and Deadman, and also a Jeff Keighley inspired character, which we see during the gameplay.
Yeah, I think he was so psyched about that cameo. You could just see on his face. He was like, "Yeah, I'm in the game.
It's his profile picture now on Twitter.
Of course. Wouldn't you make it if Hideo Kojima made a game with you in it? Wouldn't you put that as your profile picture?
Oh yes, exactly. Of course I would.
Dude's amazing, man.
And they're using the controller motion controls, to its abilities, where you can rock your baby if it ever cries.
Yeah, I mean, it looks really impressive, but the thing about it is, I'm really confused about what it's about. And to me, if you just take it at face value, right, it's just like basically you're a post-apocalyptic Amazon delivery man with a baby. Even though that sounds so weird, that's like, I still kind of want to experience that. It's like an interesting story there, you know what I mean?
Ever since seeing that peeing mechanic, I did want to try with you guys. We should all just pee at the same location and see if something happens. Yeah. And I really want to know what the purpose of the mushroom is. Like, is it a prize? Like some special ability? I don't know.
I mean, we'll obviously find out when Death Stranding. Of course, it's coming November 8th this year for PS4. Notably, we didn't find out if it's still an exclusive or not. They didn't really cover that, which is strange because it's been taken off the exclusive list. That's kind of unclear at this point, but we didn't hear anything more about that in particular.
There's another surprise for Nintendo Switch users is Ori was announced to come to the platform.
Huge platformer, previously exclusive to Xbox One and PC. Of course, Microsoft and Nintendo are sort of ramping up their partnership. So Switch users will be getting Ori, the first game in the series, will be getting that September 27th this year. Super psyched for that. Visuals look amazing. I know it was huge hit when it came out.
We also got some Avengers gameplay, like the official gameplay.
I mean, we did discuss the leak footage in a previous episode.
But honestly, the leak doesn't do it justice in any way.
It does not. This, the official gameplay looks much more impressive. I mean, it has sort of bits that were missing from the sort of leak we got. The biggest thing, of course, is the Black Widow gameplay. Yeah, so, obviously when they revealed this gameplay, I think they said this is the tutorial, and it looks really impressive.
After seeing the gameplay in more higher definition, is there any character you favor to, which if you get the game, you might play as?
I'm going to say Cap. I just love the shield.
Cap? Yeah, I feel like I was going to say Cap as well. Because I've just been playing a lot of Batman recently, and I was like, he fits that.
I mean, I think Thor looks good as well.
I have to say, the Iron Man look is kind of disappointing.
Yeah, obviously, some people, I think Christian included, we're still a bit iffy about the look of the characters.
Out of all the characters, Iron Man is the one that most looks like a toy.
There is that issue because the MCU is so huge. It kind of looks, anything else just looks off-brand. And I do appreciate that, they're trying to get around that a bit.
We've had different Marvel properties before with different voice actors and actors. The only issue is like nowadays MCU is so popular, anything else does feel a bit off-brand.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But hey, if they can pull this off like Insomniac did with Spider-Man, that wouldn't even matter.
Yeah, anyways, that's our Marvel's Avengers coming May 15th next year, PS4, Xbox One, and Stadia. I feel like we do need to talk about Erica a little bit. Exclusive announced quite a while back, sort of went under the radar. Surprise release, it's out now for PS4 owners. It's sort of the latest of Sony's Playlink games. We have a review for that, so we'll take a look at that a bit later on. I think we do need to talk about Blair Witch, which as a PlayStation owner, it kills me that we're not getting that game.
It's a Microsoft exclusive, right?
Xbox One and PC, sort of based on the very popular horror film. We did watch the gameplay. Looks terrifying. I'm not really a huge fan of horror games, but this has that sort of production value behind it, and it's got a dog, so I'm like, yeah. Obviously, we did watch a little bit of I think it's IGN's conference as well when they're interviewing all those game developers. We watched when the developers behind Kerbal Space Program 2 came on stage, and they were talking about it takes the series in a very different direction, I think, because you have the space exploration, you can go way beyond the initial sort of star system, and you can build like bases and colonies, and it's all got that physics base, explosions, all that kind of stuff. So, really, really looking forward to all these games we just discussed.
Well, just to mention, we got Kerbal Space Program 2 coming out on spring 2020.
Coming out PS4, Xbox One, and PC. Notably, they haven't said, Epic Game Store or Steam. Obviously, we do have to mention Gears 5 because they mentioned it like 6 different times.
Yeah, in case nobody understood the first video they showed, doesn't matter. They came up like 3-4 more times just to reiterate what they've already said.
Just the same Microsoft guy up over and over again on different stages. So, guys, what were we disappointed by?
There's not much of Sony other than just Death Stranding.
Yeah, a lot of Sony fans, myself included, looking like Last of Us 2 release date, Ghost of Tsushima, show us more exclusives, didn't get any of that at all, just sort of super under the radar. So yeah, that's a big disappointment for me. I thought Sony would have like a better showing this year.
It was more just for everyone, I guess.
Yeah.
During Gamescom, we also had some surprising news from Sony. Video game studio Insomniac Games, the developers of games such as Sunset Overdrive, Ratchet & Clank, and Marvel's Spider-Man, announced during Gamescom that they will be joining PlayStation's worldwide studios.
After years of acting as a second-party studio for Sony, Insomniac is now set to become PlayStation's 14th internal studio, joining other studios including Naughty Dog, Guerrilla Games, and Sucker Punch Productions, and developing exclusive games for the PlayStation console. So, what do we think?
I'm excited what's to come from Insomniac after this. It'll be great.
Yeah, interested to see what's coming up, I think. Before this, they kind of had a strange relationship with Sony. I mean, Sunset Overdrive, that is exclusive to Xbox, which is interesting. Now, of course, they did Spider-Man exclusive to PS4. I do like this partnership. I mean, obviously, they're joining like top-notch lineup of studios. We're talking Naughty Dog, Guerrilla Games, Santa Monica Studio, all really great companies.
It's a really good time for PlayStation to get Insomniac for their first party studio.
Obviously, because we have PS5 coming up.
We can have Spider-Man 2 come out much sooner now, probably.
A post on Reddit, actually, I know we'll have a personal connection with this sort of suggestion. They said, to celebrate this new partnership, Insomniac should remaster all the Resistance games.
They even posted a picture of Resistance 2, I think it was. It's such a tease.
That's such a tease, yeah. But yeah, I would love it if they did that, because I know we had such fun playing Resistance 2.
Yeah, it's great timing also because I think Microsoft were also like on a binge to get studios into their exclusivity deals.
I think they recently acquired Double Fine.
Yeah, because Insomniac had made a game for them before, which was also successful. It was possible that they would have tried and gotten Insomniac. So I'm glad that PlayStation got them first.
Yeah, I would want Sunset Overdrive. I hear it's really, really good. So,
Insomniac made a brand for themselves in the industry. So is there anything you think it'll bring to the table that other studios don't really have?
Difficult to say. I think the big thing about Insomniac is they're known for, their games is so like sort of vibrant. Because you see like Spider-Man, Sunset Overdrive, it's just like super vibrant games sort of visually. And they have so much personality in them, and it's sort of in your face with all these colors and sounds. And, Sunset Overdrive, Marvel Spider-Man, all super energetic games.
I think they're like one of the few studios who have mastered in like very fluid gameplay mechanics.
Yeah.
So with Sunset Overdrive being like, I think the highlight of that, and then them translating translating that to Spider-Man has been great. So I think using having the mechanic really puts a style on their games. And this will be really great to just have more of those where your mechanics just feel fluid, smooth, and the game is great as well.
Obviously, more content for PlayStation is good. So
Sony appears to have made a great decision acquiring Insomniac Games. However, it remains to be seen whether they made a good choice playing hardball with Disney over the rights to Spider-Man. After the success of Far From Home, Disney approached Sony with a revised deal to split cost and profits of subsequent movies 50-50, a deal Sony wasn't happy with. The breakdown in talks between the two studios means that Tom Holland's Spider-Man will no longer appear in any MCU films.
Under the previous deal, Marvel Studios, owned by Disney, would produce Spider-Man films and reap 5% of the first dollar gross, while Sony would cover all the costs of production. In comparison, the new deal pitched by Disney involved splitting everything, including profits and costs of production 50-50 between the two companies. For Sony, this would mean receiving a reduced share of the profit as each Spider-Man film became more financially successful than the last, as part of the MCU. Aside from fan loyalty and creative license, Disney doesn't seem to have anything substantial to lose if Sony continues to withhold Spider-Man from future MCU films.
a statement from Sony placed the blame on Disney, stating that much of today's news about Spider-Man has mischaracterized recent discussions about Kevin Feige's involvement in the franchise, and that they were disappointed that Feige will no longer act as lead producer on the film franchise. So, what do we think?
As a Spider-Man fan, I'm a little disappointed that it's no longer a part of the MCU. However, I can understand Sony's actions since the deal Disney came with was pretty out there. Like, it was very unrealistic for them to even get approval for the deal.
So what you're basically saying is that the sort of change in the terms is actually really drastic. It's not like, we're just adjusting it a little bit or anything. It's like, nope, 50-50, that's completely different.
There's also been some sources saying they tried to renegotiate a deal for 70-30, but I don't know if that's been confirmed or not.
That sounds a bit more reasonable, but still.
Yeah.
It does. And I think Sony were trying to renegotiate, or I don't know what or who was, but Disney came with 50-50. And if they didn't take it, they would just let them take away the Spider-Man license.
I kind of have mixed feelings about this because, if you think about the MCU as a whole, it's kind of like, well, they took away Spider-Man, but it's not like they're not going to have content to show people. So, you still have a whole Phase 4 and, the start of Phase 5 to sort of watch. Plus all those series on Disney Plus we'll discuss later. But as a fan, it sucks. There's no getting around that. The real question here is, what do you guys think of this deal? Is it sort of fair for Disney to seek, a different sort of cut, do you think?
Yes.
If you look at it one way, yes.
I feel like they definitely needed a better deal, seeing how successful these movies are becoming.
To be totally clear about that, right? Who is responsible for the success of these movies? It is the fact that it's connected to the MCU. That is what makes it super successful. Well, at least responsible part of the success of these movies. And Disney is putting in the talent, the actors, all of that. Sony is just sort of paying for it. In terms of who's contributing, creatively, I think we're talking Disney here.
Yeah. So anyway, let's move on to a much more stable Sony property, James Bond. Sony has recently given audiences a significant update on the highly anticipated 25th entry in the James Bond franchise. The film, to be directed by Cary Fukunaga, director of the hit series True Detective, has been officially titled No Time to Die, in true Bond fashion.
The film is scheduled to be released on 3rd of April next year. Daniel Craig will reprise his role as James Bond and will be joined by returning cast members including Ralph Fiennes, Naomi Harris, and Ben Whishaw. Leigh Seydoux and Jeffrey Wright will also reprise their roles as Madeline Swan and Felix Leiter, respectively, while Rami Malek will star as the film's antagonist.
What do you think, guys? New Bond film after so many years.
It's been a while, hasn't it?
It feels like a long time.
The last one was Spectre, I think?
Yeah, 2015.
Big time gap. I love Daniel Craig as James Bond. I do love him in the role, so excited for this, I think. What do you guys think of the title?
I mean, it seems cool, but it's still generic.
It's very Bond.
It's very Bond, yeah.
But I'm excited to see Rami Malek as the villain. I like to see what he can do.
You think he's going to bring like a Mr. Robot kind of vibe? Because that would be kind of cool.
Mr. Robot is very antisocial, and I feel like a lot of Bond villains really tend to be charismatic. It depends how Rami Malek portrays this character, because he's also done some charismatic characters, such as the recent Bohemian Rhapsody.
Where he plays Freddie Mercury. Yeah, he was really good in that movie. I did like that. He's quite a good actor, actually. Yeah, but like you guys said, it's been a while since we've had a Bond film. So, yeah. Does no one else have anything to say about the Bond film?
No.
Yeah, no, not really. Let's just move on.
Let's just move on.
Yeah.
I was just like, I was hoping
It's
for
just a
someone to
big
fill in.
franchise, and that's why it's news, to be honest. We only have a title and a motion poster.
Of course, we also have some of the latest news from Disney's D23 Expo. Disney is also currently holding their annual expo in Anaheim. And with the launch of Disney Plus this November, the company has announced more of its lineup. Fans attending the expo were recently treated to the first trailer for Jon Favreau's upcoming Star Wars series, The Mandalorian. Set a few years after Return of the Jedi, The Mandalorian is set in a different corner of the Star Wars universe and will be made available on Disney Plus at launch.
Star Wars fans were also treated to what some might call a fine addition to their collection. Actor Ewan McGregor took the stage alongside Lucasfilm President Kathleen Kennedy to confirm that he would be returning to play Obi-Wan Kenobi in a series for Disney Plus, set 8 years after Revenge of the Sith. This announcement came alongside various other announcements, including a confirmation that the final season of The Clone Wars will be released in February.
Alongside various reboots and remakes, Marvel Studios president Kevin Feige also took the stage to announce 3 new MCU series based on Moon Knight, Ms. Marvel, and She-Hulk. So, what do we think of all this?
This seems kind of weird to discuss this after, we were kind of slagging off Disney earlier.
So let's start with The Mandalorian. What do you guys think of the trailer?
Kind of hyped for this. It's almost like a Wild West kind of thing, which is, it's got like an interesting, like a different vibe to the rest of Star Wars, It's kind of like on frontier space, lone lawman coming to, dish out justice. That's kind of the vibe I get. And it's kind of cool. Obviously, Turin and I were discussing this earlier. It's actually surprisingly violent.
Yeah, it starts with the heads of stormtroopers on pikes.
Yeah, I mean, not heads, but helmets.
With heads in them.
Presumably, yeah.
It's obvious, dude.
Then we also have a last shot where someone almost gets chopped in half by a door, but it cuts away before we see that.
I do like this new look of Star Wars. It's quite different to what we've seen before. I mean, I know we're talking about the violence a little bit. I was just going to say it's sort of like original trilogy levels of violence, where Luke gets his hand cut off and, you see the burning bodies and that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I'm just glad they aren't sticking to PG.
Yeah.
13. Maybe it's PG-13, but at least it's not PG, like Disney PG.
And I do like the look of this. It's got like a different feeling to it. It's more, gritty.
It's similar to Rogue One, in my opinion, but it's a lot more polished, I feel.
Actually, I was reading some estimate of the budget. You know what the budget is for each episode? $15 million.
Wow. Okay, that's insane. That's crazy money, man.
I think they have announced how long each season will be. I think it's 8 episodes or something. But they have said, I think Jon Favreau has come out and said, they've already greenlit the second season, which is great. I mean, I do want to see this now. It's actually because obviously, Boba Fett, favorite character, well, one of my favorites. And, we don't really see him do that much in the sort of movies. This is not Boba Fett, I don't think, but, we sort of see it's like a similar character, I think. And I do want to see, more Mandalorian action that this is going to deliver.
Maybe he'll be more badass than Boba Fett.
I mean, currently it wouldn't be hard.
I don't think a lot of people notice, but Boba Fett really sucks as a bounty hunter in the movies.
He doesn't really do much in the movies, exactly, yeah.
He misses a lot, and he died in a pit by a blinded Han Solo because he accidentally hit his jetpack.
Yeah. I mean, this guy's a gunslinger. I think, I do want to see that. That's kind of cool.
And, seeing the huge budget really brings a lot of promise and reassurance for the Obi-Wan series.
Again, very, very hyped for Obi-Wan. Glad they finally confirmed it. I know we were discussing this last week. Is this going to happen? Well, it's happening.
And budget looks promising.
Yeah.
And it's not going to be Disney PG, if anything in Mandalorian is, to take a hint from.
I do want to see this, though.
Yeah, and we also got a couple more series announced from D23, which is 3 new Marvel series. So we got Moon Knight, Ms. Marvel, and She-Hulk. All great. And I was literally talking to you guys before, we were discussing how the PG-ness of Disney is getting really old and, saturated. And I proposed that if they ever bring Moon Knight in, it could be the character that forces them to go a bit beyond PG-13.
Yeah, a bit darker.
I don't know that much about the Ms. Marvel character, but obviously we just discussed, obviously, we're losing Spider-Man. I think what they said about Ms. Marvel is that she's going to have her own series, and then after that, she's going to be in the movies. So if you're looking for someone to take the role of Spider-Man, you're just offering this straight up.
Just because they haven't announced when the series will come out, right?
No. Obviously, there will be some Marvel shows, I think, coming out at launch. Obviously, WandaVision, that kind of stuff.
Yeah, it'll probably be out after Phase 4.
Yeah, this is a lot of Marvel series now. 5 or 6 now.
When Ms. Marvel comes out, I believe it will be around around the time Captain Marvel 2 releases, because her character's inspiration is a lot from Captain Marvel.
I think they've talked kind of in the past. I think, Brie Larson and sort of been saying, we want to bring the character in, and, we would love if we could have Miss Marvel in this.
People have been asking for Miss Marvel more than Captain Marvel anyway, so this is great. And Moon Knight, I'm very excited for. It's been long rumored that they'll do something with the character, and now they finally are. And I think a lot of fans are excited. And Moon Knight not being such a big character in the Marvel universe, I think it's great that it's another character they're bringing to light.
Way back when Defenders was still a thing, and Marvel wasn't just a band. I think there were rumors that Moon Knight would sort of join that lineup, but we're not getting those shows back as far as we know, which is kind of sad. I want to see Daredevil again. So
I hope he comes up in like Moon Knight or She-Hulk. It'll be great if we see Charlie Cox as a rival lawyer against She-Hulk's character in some episode. That'll be awesome, but I don't know what they're gonna do with that.
I mean, obviously we were slamming Disney earlier, but
we're still fans, guys.
We're still fans.
Yeah, we're gonna eat this all up regardless.
It's just things suck sometimes with business deals.
Yeah. So a lot of stuff in Disney.
Cool. Anyway, let's move on to our weekly review roundup. This week we have Cadence of Hyrule and Erica.
Let's talk Cadence of Hyrule first. Zelda spin-off. Crossover between Crypt of the Necrodancer, hit indie game, sort of rhythm-based gameplay is the big thing about that. I don't think it's officially part of the Zelda canon, if that makes sense. Basically what you have is Cadence, the protagonist of Crypt of the Necrodancer. It's a great game. She is transported to Hyrule, Link and Zelda's world, and together they sort of have to team up to save the world. Super, super fun. If you have a Switch, can't recommend this game enough. Rhythm gameplay is amazing. Really, really sort of enjoyed that. It takes a bit of getting used to, which is my biggest sort of hang up with the game. It's the reason why I didn't give it an essential is because it has that sort of difficulty curve that you have to sort of get over before you can start enjoying the game.
As you said, this is a crossover spin-off of Legend of Zelda and Crypt of the Necrodancer. Because this is still developed by the indie studio, is that right?
Nintendo does not really sort of let other people have their first party IPs. So, we're talking Pokemon, Mario, Zelda. They don't let anybody except Nintendo touch that. This seems to be an exception to the rule, and it's turned out really, really well. So, it's a great spin-off. It's a great game.
So the Legend of Zelda stuff doesn't feel tacked on, right?
No, not at all. This feels like a game that's sort of like working together, people who understand Zelda, people who understand Crypt of the Necrodancer, they're coming together to make this game. I think it's, it's so, it's got this kind of spirit. It's got this personality to it. I don't think a lot of games sort of have. But the concept sounded really good. And it's executed so well in this game. So, yeah.
Okay, and let's move on to a game you just reviewed.
Erica, obviously a full motion video game. Surprise launch at Gamescom after sort of being in limbo for a long while. Playing this game was frustrating for me. Not frustrating in the sort of traditional sense where, you can't control the game, just, it doesn't work. Not frustrating in that sense. It was frustrating in that it came so close to being, something that I would recommend to you guys to play. It was like so painfully close to that. And I was just sort of playing and I was sort of thinking, well, this is a real shame. Because obviously, so what it does is it combines this really intense, horror thriller with Sony's Playlink sort of mechanics. So Playlink, if you guys don't know already, just really to break it down for you in simple terms, instead of using the DualShock 4 controller, what you do is download an app on your phone, connect your phone to your console, and you play using your phone screen. Essentially, it's like playing a mobile game, on the big screen. The thriller part of it is actually quite good. It's very intense. The cinematography is very, very accomplished. It's very, very polished. It's really, really well done. Holly Earl plays Erica. She's fantastic in this role. The big thing about Erica is that because her performance is so strong, you're not sort of determining personality. I mean, in a lot of choice-based video games, what you're doing is sort of you're deciding what your character's personality is like. And they start off as a blank slate, if that makes sense. This is not that. She's already like a fully fleshed out character. You are just guiding her, sort of almost like saying to her, go this way or go that way or, say this. And just seeing how that sort of, what effect that has. The plot is not so great. It becomes, sort of very dense. It's difficult to understand the points. Obviously, this comes from the fact that you sort of need to give this game replayability. But as it stands, I don't think there's a real way to gain a full understanding of what happens without, playing through it like several times over. I played through it 3 different times, still don't have the full picture behind it. As a game, that's fine. As a game, you want to be able to replay it. So, you get your money's worth. But in terms of being a drama or being a movie, that's terrible. Do you guys get what I'm saying? Because
yeah, it sort of shoots itself in the foot there.
right. When you watch a movie or like a TV series or anything like that, the big thing you want at the end of it is to have understood everything that's going on. Playing through Erica just once is not going to give you the full picture. You're just going to come out of it going, I still have, there's missing links, there's no, clear connection. I don't know what's going on here. I think, conceptually speaking, it's actually like a really solid game. This is a really great concept, right? And I could see them, taking this and just, doing something amazing with it. Erica is not that game currently because there's problems with the narrative. Also had some problems, technically speaking, the game crashes and, it froze once on me, mid-sequence, which is like really infuriating. I love the concept and I understand that it's experimental. And for an experimental game, it's actually really good, right? So there's a lot of it gets right. So the reason why I wouldn't recommend this to everyone is sort of like, I don't know, I suspect a lot of people wouldn't really sort of take to this sort of new approach. So that you'd be less impressed by the story and that kind of stuff. But some people will enjoy it. And, I think, if you have the time and the money to spare, it's worth experiencing. But it sort of falls a little bit short of me saying, to everyone, I recommend you play this game. I recommend you play this game.
But the graphics are amazing, right?
The graphics are amazing, yeah.
Yeah, we saw the trailer and we were just so impressed by how lifelike it is.
So
impressed.
That ray tracing.
So lifelike. Somehow they implemented ray tracing and the lighting and the cinematography, the textures look amazing.
Guys, we're clearly joking. We're not dumb.
Anyways, that's all for this week. Next week, we might cover the PAX West conference. So if you guys definitely want us to cover that, comment below.
And if you like our content, hit subscribe so you start every week knowing what's happening in the world of games and films.
Make sure you check out our website, presso2couch.com, where we review games and films about 3 times a week. Also follow us on Twitter and Instagram to get an easy preview of those articles. See you next week.
Bye. So this is obviously, as you said, it's a spin-off of Legend of Zelda or Cryptomancer.
What?
Cryptomancer or Necromancer?
Crypt of the Necrodancer. What?
Crypt of the Necromancer. Okay.
No, Crypt of the Necrodancer, not Mancer. D.
Okay.
Necrodancer.